We're coming today to talk about something that is critically important to very many middle-class families who have home ownership across the country and business ownership. And it's the bipartisan, truly bipartisan, Homeowner Flood Insurance Affordability Act, which seeks to address the recent flood insurance rate escalations across the country. This bill is measured, it's reasonable, and it allows for FEMA to complete a study on flood insurance affordability and provides Congress with the assurance that about FEMA's ability to accurately determine flood risk before implementing pieces of the Biggert Waters Flood Insurance Reform Act. And I think it's true in many cases in the United States Congress that good intentions, when they pass the Biggert Water provisions, pass the act, but implementation has been a nightmare. And I don't think we're exaggerating, has been a nightmare for very many of our community members and especially across the coastal areas. But I think it's important that I speak as someone from a plains state who will tell you repeatedly that flood insurance is a huge impediment to success and to home ownership in North Dakota and very many of my communities. I want to just mention some of the provisions of the bill. The bill would delay rate increase for the following properties: primary non-repetitive loss residents that were grandfathered, all properties sold after July 6, 2012, and all property that purchased a new policy after that date. And it's important that the folks out there who have already gotten these tremendous flood insurance bills understand that our effort is to make this bill retroactive to October 1st of this year, so that those rate increases that were mandated by that date don't take effect. The basement provision is something that we've spent a lot of time educating other members about. It's a provision that very many communities in my state, including 14 North Dakota, some of our largest communities, have flood-proof basements. They've lived by the rules, they've done all the things that they should do, and so they've been granted an exemption from flood insurance, taking a look at where the foundation is as opposed to where the basement floor is when they determine vulnerability. That basement exemption is in danger of being repealed by FEMA, and we want to make sure that whatever we do recognizes that when those homeowners played by the rules, did the right thing, flood-proofed their basements, that they get that investment recognized in the flood insurance program. You know, generally I want to say, you know, I came to the United States Senate to fight for North Dakotans. And I have to imagine most of the senators here are here because they want to fight for the people in their states. And a major way to do that is to protect American families and their homes and stop putting undue pressure on them. It's a simple idea, but it's proving much harder to implement than I would like. Flooding is a reality far too often in North Dakota, and there are many other communities across the country who see the same kind of plains flooding. Just in the past few years, we've seen communities like Fargo, Minot, Grafton, and others impacted by severe flooding that's destroyed their homes and their businesses. This fall, flood insurance rates went up for millions of families. This puts families at risk, so many of them have to struggle to pay for flood insurance, or they have to walk away, literally walk away from their investment in their home. Biggert Waters is having an immediate impact on homeowners in my state. I want to give you just one example. We have a woman that I know from Grafton, North Dakota. Her name is Allison Scary, and her husband, Kyle. They purchased a home in that smaller community about a year ago. At the time, the flood insurance rate was $901 for $100,000 worth of coverage. But when the policy recently came up for renewal, their flood insurance skyrocketed to more than $4,200 a year. Let me repeat those statistics. Their flood insurance cost when they bought their home was at $901. Today, their bill is $4,200, a 375% increase for the same amount of coverage. In an email to me, Allison expressed a desire to raise her children in Grafton, but unfortunately, they no longer can afford their home, not with these new rates. And she said that had she and her husband known about these rates when they bought their home, they would have never have purchased their home. I think it reinforces that we need to take a new look. We need to take a new look at this flood insurance program. We need to take a new look at affordability of home ownership. You know, everybody knows that the last, it's certainly since 2008, we've seen a slow recovery in home ownership. We've tried to make sure that people can realize the American dream. A big part of that is, in fact, the owning of your own home. But yet, here we are in the United States Congress making it virtually impossible for middle-class families to buy and live and enjoy their homes. That was never the intention of the Biggert-Water provision. The intention was to bring the flood insurance program to a more reasonable market-based evaluation. But I don't think anyone in this body anticipated these dramatic and very, very devastating increases. And so I think we absolutely need to do something to send a message that we are listening to the middle class in this body. We are listening to the middle class. And when every person who runs in their campaign, I bet you there isn't one person in this body who didn't say, I'm there to help protect the middle class. Well, this is our opportunity in a bipartisan way to step up, protect the middle class, to tell people that that grasp of home ownership, that piece of the American dream is within your reach. And it's within your reach because we aren't doing devastating things here in Washington, D.C. And so I want to yield back to my great friend from Louisiana, and I just want to publicly thank her. I don't think I, as a new member, preside frequently in the floor of the United States Senate, and I think that if there was a canary on this issue, you know, that early bellwether who you looked to when you said we're going to have problems, it was Senator Mary Landrieu, who alarmed this body from the very beginning, who knew that these increases were coming, and so ably advanced her leadership on this issue. And I want to applaud her for that. I want to applaud Senator Menendez and Senator Schumer and so many people on the other side who have worked with us to try and develop a bill that truly has bipartisan support. And I really want to urge this body to send a very important holiday present, a Christmas present, to the middle class of America by passing this reform bill, by delaying these increases, and making that hope of home ownership possible in the future.
Madam President.
The senator from Louisiana.
Madam President, I thank the senator's kind and very generous comments, but she underestimates about me, but she underestimates her own just tremendous leadership skills. Arriving here as a new member, she jumped right into this issue. She didn't need a lot of prep work. She understands her state. She understands basements, which we don't have in Louisiana, because if you dig down even a few inches, you'll hit water. So I had to get very well educated from my good friends, the senators from New York, New Jersey, and North Dakota, about true basements. And it just goes to show you that we work together, we can come up with legislation that can really help our people, give them relief, be in partnership with them, helping them to keep the equity and strengthen the equity in their homes and businesses, and also do right by the taxpayer. And so, Senator, thank you very much for your kind comments.